Good morning. Welcome to Awokh on this blessed Thursday morning. And today we have the advantage of really celebrating this season. We have the privilege of really enjoying this word of Awokh in the outdoors, and really with the opportunity of saying thank you to this blessed new season that we have awoken in, and having to learn that in this season our thanks is really required, and our appreciation with where we are at, and especially with today's discussion on how to mentally be where you are required to be, and realizing the challenge that we currently have in this season, but mentally to know that you know what, we are more than victorious where we are at, and having just to respect the environment, to respect who we are, and to respect everything concerning earth, everything concerning what we have been blessed with, and to really have that heart of thankness towards the Almighty, and to really say thank you, Father, for yet another blessed season. And this morning I was actually reminded of a war, and I've been in a war, but the advantage of being in the war is that you have the opportunity to overcome. You have the opportunity to really appear and to really be a difference. You have the opportunity to not only think about yourself, to not only think about your safety, but to really care for someone else. And this season, the challenge of this season requires us to really not see the weaker us in this season, but realizing the strength of having to appear, the strength of having to care for someone else, of having to have empathy for someone else. And that is the strength that keeps us through every season. So, yes, we are mentally challenged, but we are mental winners also with this season. And therefore, I believe that you would enjoy today's discussion on mentally we have to be stable, and mentally we have to be attentive and appearing with taking care of where we are at with the situation at hand. So enjoy today's discussion. To start off, just where we are at, I'm thinking about the challenge of the season. And with the challenge that we have this season, there's the requirement for us to really appear. There's the requirement for us to really be stable with the challenge. There's a requirement for us to really be with how we approach the season, with how we approach where we at in the season. And with the challenge, we are allowed to be, but not over be. We are allowed to be, but not limiting our ability to be. And therefore, to be present with the season that we are at. To be present with knowing that there is something happening concerning us. But with the something happening, I should not overreact, and I should not also be the weaker me in the season, but I'm required to be attentive and conscious to where I'm at in this season. And mentally, we are required to take care of ourselves. Mentally, we are required to know that there's much happening. But with the much happening, I have to control me, and I have to control where I'm at. With the much happening in the season, there's emotions that goes with what is happening. And the emotions causes us sometimes to be angry. It causes us sometimes to abuse, to oppress ourselves or to oppress others. It causes us sometimes to bully someone else, to be ignorant, or to only think about yourself. But with all the emotions that is happening, you have to control who you are at with what is going on. You have to control you with deciding what do you choose to do with where you are currently at, knowing that the choices is our reactions, knowing that when we react, someone else will react. And when someone else will react, we might then have control over the situation, or the situation might be out of control. And therefore, when we are mentally seeing this season, what is it that you are required to get right with you in this season? And what is it that you are required to take care of when looking at this season? And therefore, I'm reminded that when you're in a mental challenge, you are mentally required to look after yourself. You are mentally required to really make sure that you are not being abused. You are mentally required to take care at the moment that you are at. And when saying this, I'm reminded of a challenge that I had a few years ago. And when I had my challenge, I did not react to the challenge. I did not mentally look after myself, but mentally, I really lost myself with the challenge that I have. And after a few years, I realized that something within me is wrong and required me to really pay attention to me. And I remember looking back now that if I had not paid attention to what I'm required to do for myself, I might have been totally at a different stage and era today. And therefore, we are required to not overreact, but to really also not limit protecting ourselves, but to really also not lose ourselves with the emotions that takes place, because we don't know what is happening, we don't know what we are required to do. But all I can remind myself of is that I have been created, that I am not God. So I cannot overreact when I take care of myself. I cannot overreact when I make mistakes and when I fail myself. But I can pay attention to myself and nurture and look after myself within the challenge that I have. And therefore, I don't overbe, I don't limit myself, but I am where I'm required to be, with the cautiousness of being in the season, mentally stable, mentally knowing that the situation is not in my control, mentally knowing that the situation should also not have the better of me, mentally knowing that I should be stable when I see myself in this season. I'm required to make a everyday decision concerning me, concerning where I'm at, and God requires me to protect me by making sure that I know the choices that I make, what result the choices might have on me, and by knowing that my protection for me is me having to be cautious and having to be attentive to looking after me in a way that is mentally stable with everything that we do. I am really speaking into the very being of who we are in the season, the process of that emotional challenge, making sure that our emotional challenge strikes something concerning us this season. But what happened concerning us, we are required to take care of us in this season. And when we take care, we are reminded that the impact of how we take care of ourselves might have on us. And therefore, the result of how we take care of ourselves might be a reaction of how we see ourselves maybe tomorrow, of emotionally how I see myself maybe the day after tomorrow. But the outcome of how I take care of myself in this season would have an effect. but I have control over the effect of the outcome concerning me. And therefore, the process in this season requires us to really pay attention to the season that we are at, to not be scared, but to really make sure that if there's something in my life that I'm not doing right, I have the opportunity now to really rectify what it is and to really step out better, to really step out with that consciousness, with that attentiveness, awakeness, and assertiveness of knowing what it is that I do, of knowing what it is that is required of me with what I do. And mentally, we are all there with one another, taking hands, not knowing what is happening, but knowing that we've got the advantage of being there for us, being there for someone else, being there, taking care of our neighborhoods, whatever's required of you that you know that you are able to do. Let us do good in the season of now where we have the opportunity to do good. That is my motivation for today, and we would really continue on this during this season, and our mental stability during this season, and the requirement for us to not overreact, and the requirement for us to not limit ourselves, to not be weak out there, and to not be alone in your situation. But if you know that you really need to speak to someone concerning your challenge in the season, then let us do that, and let us speak to someone that would really walk this journey with you, that would really walk this road with you, and to know that you are required to be the better you with every season, with everything that you do. God bless you. May you have a blessed, fresh spring season. God bless.